Good afternoon, YouTubers. Now, last time I was talking about the M16, the M4, and why I thought it was definitely one of the best assault rifles in the world, except for one. And I'm going to go on to talk about that. I don't have one, but I've got something else, because there's one component that I feel is essential that a firearm should have, and the M16 does not have it. Okay, and it was the same problem with the SLR that we used to have when we were in the army, the FAL. You see, some modifications that people do aren't actually modifications. They make things worse, or they think they make them better, but it's all opinions, of course. Lots of people will give you their opinions on different firearms, and I'm just one of those people giving you my opinion. Now, I noticed with the self-loading rifle, as we call it, the FAL 7.62 NATO, when we were on exercise and we'd be walking through the countryside, should we say, it got dirty, it got sand in it and things like that. And when we were on exercise, we were obviously firing blanks at each other. And there's a big thing on the end of the gun called the blank firing attachment. If you ever see soldiers in the bushes having their photographs taken, there's a big yellow thing on the end of the gun. That is a BFA, that's a blank firing attachment, okay? So the blank is a bullet, it's shaped like a bullet, but there's no projectile. So when you fire it, it just detonates and all the gunpowder goes down the barrel to work the bolt for the extraction, so you can go bang, 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 bang. That's how it works. Anyway, we were attacking a position one time, and when we got to the position, I raised my rifle, fired it, bang, and then it wouldn't fire again because the bolt was stuck at the back. It was all full of grit and sand and it wouldn't go forward, and there's no way of pushing it forward. The only thing you can do is pull the button on the side, open the gun, take the top cover off, pull the bolt out, clean all the rails, get all the sand out the rails, clean the bolt, put the bolt back, put the top cover back, shut the gun, obviously take the magazine off at the beginning, put the magazine back in, cock it again, and then you're ready to go. By which time the enemy would have shot you dead. Okay, so one thing you do not want to be doing in a combat zone is having stoppages and having to take your gun apart to clean it, because you really need to discard that weapon and pick up another one. That's the truth. Now, I've got one here. You've seen this one before. This is an MP40. No, it's not. I lie. It's an MP18. Okay. This is an airsoft version. It's the Snow Wolf. But it was the first submachine gun in the world, and the critical component is this, sticking out the side. There's a huge piece of metal sticking out, which is attached to the working parts of the gun. Okay, so if it were to stick back, you could put your hand behind it and you could force it forward. Now, that wouldn't be a good idea with a blowback fixed firing pin, because when you got to the front, it'd go off and probably break your hand. I don't know, depends how powerful the punch is off it, doesn't it? Because there's two kinds of guns. There's the blowback operated, which starts off at the back, and when you pull the trigger it goes forward, strips a bullet from the magazine, pushes it into battery and fires it, and then it comes back and goes forward again and repeats the process. Now, you'd find that with old submachine guns. Today we feel that that's not the way forward. They've got rid of machine guns, submachine guns, in most armies, and certainly the British Army, and I don't know if the Americans have got any, but most of the guns you see nowadays, the bolt is in the forward position with an internal hammer and a firing pin. So when you pull the trigger, the hammer works, hits the firing pin, detonates the round, and then it recoils, ejects the empty case. And what you don't want is it for not to go forward again, or it does go partially forward and it stops. You need to be able to put your hand there and go and shove it into battery, and then you're ready to fire. Because if it's not in battery properly, it's not going to fire. Now, there was no forward assist on the SLR, the FAL. There was nothing. You had some stupid cocking lever on the side here, which folded out. You then cocked it with it, and then it uselessly went back on its own with a spring. So if your working parts were jammed on the way forward, there's no way that's of any help to you. You've got to open the gun. But the forward assist, the Americans realised with the M16, we need forward assist. Instead of having the bolt sticking out the side, you can just go like that. They have to push on this thing at the back, and there's like a load of little grooves on the working part. So you're slowly pushing it forward, pushing it forward, pushing it forward. It's there, bang. Whereas you could have just gone. No, I think that's essential. That is one essential feature that I would want on an assault rifle. It doesn't matter which assault rifle, okay, because they're all basically the same, aren't they? They use different ammunition, but they've all got a gas return to recock it, and they use different caliber ammunition. That's about the only difference, really. You know, people talk about wood stocks. Wood stocks, aren't they, look gorgeous on the wall, but you know, in a jungle, they might swell and sweat and deform, and that's why the plastic stocks are better. And there's all those arguments. Not, you know, they're all good arguments, good points, but you really do need to be able to shove that working parts into battery, because you might have loads of dust in there, and when you fire it again, it jams again, but you can ram it forward and you can fire it again. And this is what you need to be able to do. It's no good having a gun full of dust and it won't fire when the enemy's closing in on you, firing at you. That's no, oh, just wait a minute while I get my cleaning kit out. I won't be a minute. Give me a couple of minutes. You haven't got a couple of minutes, right? If you're on the range and you're a civilian and your gun jams because it's got dirt in it, you say, oh, never mind. Doesn't matter. No one's going to shoot you dead, are they? But in the military situation, you need that lever sticking out the side of the gun. Now, I did notice on some Israeli M16s, the stuff that the Israeli Defence Force have got, they have a red knob thing sticking out the side. And I'm thinking, is that what it is? Is that... I don't know. I've never been to Israel. I've never fired one of their guns, but that seems to me that maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Perhaps you could tell me in the comments if you know the answer to that one. But the other gun I was talking about, of course, is the AK-47. Okay, that does have this feature. And so out of the two, if you asked me which one I'd take into a combat situation, I would take the AK, purely because of that lever, that cocking lever. Now they do reproduction guns. I was watching Ian McCulloch, isn't it, Forgotten Weapons, and he talks about different guns all the time, and he bought himself for $4,000 a replica rebuild of the MP38, which is, as you know, the forerunner to the MP40. So there's a manufacturer in America now producing the MP38, a brand new one, which you can buy for $4,000, and it has an internal hammer. Okay, so it's non-blowback. Well, it is. It's, you don't start off at the back. Okay, and pull the trigger with the firing pin. Start at the front, you fire it, and then it'll recock itself. Okay, I mean, I personally wouldn't spend $4,000 on an MP38, but if that's what you want, that's what you want. Fine. Look, people spend money on all kinds of things. If that's what you want, that's great. But it's not fully auto. It's a single shot, which means they've had to convert the innards so that it fires from a closed bolt. And again, you've got this cocking handle sticking out the side, I think, on the MP38. It's on this side, wasn't it? Which is great, because if it sticks, if it jams, you can have the option to push it forward until it's into battery before you fire it. I wouldn't do it with a blowback, because if like a Sten gun with a fixed firing pin, if that was stuck halfway, like I said, and you rammed it forward, it would go off and it would break your hand probably. So, but mostly the guns today are closed bolt with an internal hammer. So that's it. That's the feature. Now I don't have an AK-47. I'd love to have one, but I haven't. And this is an airsoft replica. Okay, this is not a real gun, as you know. This is airsoft. And what a fabulous gun! The first submachine gun in the world. But it has that one feature that people have got rid of that feature because they've thought, well, we could have it on a little spring and it can fold down. It'll all be neat and it won't catch on anything. Well, no, I want it. I want that feature in a weapon, and I won't be buying one or using one ever unless it's got that, because I want that option to shove it into a battery and fire it. I don't want to have to stop and strip it and take it apart. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. So out of the two, is it the M16 stroke M4, which is a cracking gun, I'm not knocking it, but it doesn't have this feature. It has a forward assist, I know, which but the FAL didn't have either. It just jammed and then you got shot dead. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. In my opinion, I would want a weapon with that feature. Now, I did actually buy an AK-47 in a real one in the 1980s, because we used to be allowed to have them on a firearms license. It was single shot though, it wasn't full auto. The fully auto function had been disabled. I think I paid £260 for it. It came with a bayonet and about 3 magazines, and it had the folding stock that went underneath. Fantastic gun. I mean, having come from the SLR in the army, the British Army, to the Kalashnikov AK-47, and it was a proper AK-47. It was in 7.62 times 39 NATO. Now, people had said, they felt that the NATO 7.62 round was too big, too powerful, so why not just make it shorter and go on with the Russian ammunition? Russian ammunition was super deadly, in my opinion, so why didn't they just downsize it a bit? I think it was a mistake to downsize to 5.56 in the long run, and I think the Russians made the mistake as well, downsizing their AK-47. Can't remember what the caliber size was. And the AK-74, they reduced the caliber size with the same idea with the Americans. We could carry more ammunition, but then you reduce your range. To increase your range, all you need to do is have a longer barrel for range and accuracy. The SLR had a stupidly long barrel. It was getting caught in everything all the time. You had to carry it upside down. Otherwise, you got caught in all the scrim nets and things like that. But the Turkish army are now making the M16 under license in Turkey, and they're supplying 7.62 M4s to the Turkish army. And they've also got the M60, very similar to the M60, 7.62 belt fed. And you think, well, the Americans and the British put together will be struggling with 5.56 going up against the Turks. And they've thrashed the British backside at Gallipoli, right? And you wouldn't want a repetition of that. So you wouldn't want to go up against people with bigger, better guns, would you? Because it's obvious you want the advantage. So for me, again, I repeat, 7.62. And in my opinion, I think the AK-47 in 7.62, 49, is far better gun. Far better. Not 49. Anyway, that's my opinion for the best assault rifle in the world, was the AK-47. But it only comes in slightly ahead of the M16, because the M16 is a nicer thing. I really like them both. I'm not against either of them. I think they're both really good weapons. In fact, the Israelis copied the AK-47, called it the Galal, and you'll see the Galal in various calibers because it's a really good weapon. It's a really good one, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. Thanks for watching.